I finally started drawing the first image for my book in color, and I decided to start with the vegetables in the garden, depicting the garden with only two vegetables, a cabbage and a turnip. I've always had a passion for still life and botanical illustrations, and I always get really excited about trying to crack the mysteries that lie within the emerald heart of a cabbage or the different textures and tones of a turnip. Doesn't this one look like a planet? I'm trying to create a tightly cohesive style for this book, and that means every detail has to adhere to this style. Every element gets stylized according to the overall sort of rule book of the look I'm after. So the turnip has to be a turnip from the same world as the cabbage, and they both have to be of the same world as the girl and her cottage, and so forth. It doesn't always work, but I make an effort to find the right shapes and textures and colors. In addition to styling every element, there has to be a sort of dialogue in style between different components of the drawing. I realize I'm sliding into the esoteric here, but it's kind of like the feeling that a certain chair doesn't belong in a certain room. That's what it feels like when a certain element speaks in a different language than the rest of the drawing. That is, of course, what sketching beforehand is for, but sometimes, no matter how many sketches you make, in the final drawing, it can just look wrong, and you keep praying that won't happen. I still remember what it was like drawing with colored pencils as a child. I told myself, Noah, let's go crazy with the colors. It's more interesting. Who's going to know that I used a little bright pink on this dark wardrobe or blue on this cauliflower? As I got older, I became more and more rigid and thought that if I use the wrong colors, I am a bad artist. But slowly I realized there are no wrong colors, and I have returned to this childlike state of play and exploration, and am now deliberately using odd colors in places where they seemingly wouldn't belong, but they always belong. The main things I'm interested in are textures and light. I'm so interested in texture that sometimes I get frustrated with the medium of drawing, and I want to move into something three-dimensional just so I can correctly depict and create the textures I am after. There always seems to be a limit to what you can do on paper. This is why I had a whole phase of working with wool, trying to needle felt illustrations. I've had some successful stabs at it. See what I did there? And at first, I was intoxicated with the newness of the medium, the tactility of it, and the possibility of sculpting whatever I wished. But at some point, it became clear to me that, like every medium, needle felting has its limitations, and that I actually have much more freedom with drawing. I'm still dabbling in needle felting from time to time because I'm just in love with wool and yarn. So who knows? I may give it another serious go in the future. You will notice that I'm using purples of all kinds together with the greens on these vegetable leaves. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like the landscape in Scotland has purple undertones. It's in the soil, the stones, even the blue of the sky. Scotland is just saturated with all kinds of purple hues. At least this is what I see. I feel like it is especially true in the Scottish Islands, and this story is set on an island, so I'm trying to use it and bring it out as much as I can. Well, here's the finished part, and I'm moving upwards in this drawing. Next time, it will be the girl in her tweed dress and hopefully the meat grinder, which is far more difficult to draw than the vegetables. Thanks for watching, everyone. Catch you later. Bye.